गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुसाक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमामि गौडपादञ्च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे ಓಂ ಓಂ ಓಂ. ಅಂದರೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಫ್ರೈಡೇ, ಹೌದು ಫ್ರೈಡೇ ಆಗುವುದರಿಂದ ಮೂಲವಿದ್ಯಾ ನಿರಾಸ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೇಳೋಣ. ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಗ್ಯಾಪ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೇ ಇದೆ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಏನೋ ಹೇಳೋಣ. ಸೊ Purupakshi first told, Siddhanti first told, Vidya, Avidya cannot coexist. Knowledge and ignorance knowledge and ignorance cannot coexist like the light and darkness. Just as light and darkness cannot coexist, have you ever seen light and darkness coexisting? So similarly, in a jnani, knowledge that he knows Brahman, his knowledge of Brahman, at the same time retaining a little bit of a trace of ignorance, ఇది మూలావిద్యా నిరాసనండి. ఇది అయిన తర్వాత ఒక అరగంట పరిభాషను చెప్పుదాం అనుకుంటున్నాను. ఏదో ఓపిక ఉంటే చెప్తాను. ఇది అయిన తర్వాత, ఇది ముగియగానే. సో సిద్ధాంతి టోల్డ్, జ్ఞాని బీయింగ్ ఎన్లైటెండ్ అండ్ రీటైనింగ్ ఎ సర్టెన్ ట్రేస్ ఆఫ్ అవిద్య won't go together. It's impossible. If he retains avidya, means he is not enlightened. If he is enlightened, he can't retain a certain trace of avidya. Knowledge and ignorance can't coexist like light and darkness. Listening to this, Purupakshi says, how? Katham na yujjate. How can you say it is impossible? How can you say it is untenable? The coexistence of light and darkness is untenable. Purupakshi is more particular about the illustration. See, here it is here a discussion follows on the illustration. He goes into illustration. How light and darkness can coexist. We are mainly talking about Atma. Why make a big issue out of illustration? But Purupakshi wants to make it. In fact, in all Vyakhyanas, this light and darkness is a big topic in Panchapadika, Vivarana, Tattvadipana, Ruju Vivarana, Chitsuki, Khandana Khandakadya. In all these books, Advaita Siddhi, in most of these books, Advaita Siddhi I don't remember, but other books I have seen, which I have mentioned in all these books I have seen, there the light and darkness is a big issue for them. Darkness is particularly a bhava rupa. It is a positive substance, it is not simply absence of light. So when they say they can coexist, what do they mean? They mean that they are two things. Okay? When he says they coexist, he means, Purupakshi means that they are two things. Because light and darkness, light is one, darkness is another. They are two things. Okay. And they coexist. We say darkness is simply absence of light. How can the light and absence of light coexist? How can anything, book and absence of book, do they coexist? It's meaningless. If book is there, there is no absence of book. If there is absence of book, there is no book. They are totally opposite to each other, isn't it? They can't coexist. But when Purvapakshi talks of coexistence, he doesn't mean simply absence of light. He means something more than an absence of light. More than an absence of light means something bhavarupa, something positive entity. So he says light and darkness are two entities, two things separately. And darkness is a positive. Second point is darkness is a positive substance, like the light. Okay, and they coexist. Not only coexist, they form the illustration, they form an example to prove that in Jnani, light and darkness can coexist. The whole problem starts with in Jnani, light and darkness, in Jnani, Jnanam, Ajnanam can coexist. In Jivan Mukta, Jnanam, Ajnanam can coexist. That is their main contention. Mulavidyavadi's main contention is in enlightened person, in Jivan Mukta, there can be Jnanam and Ajnanam together living. Now, Purvapakshi continues, Katham na yujjate? How do you say they can't exist? They can't coexist? It is tenable. They do coexist. How? Drushyate alpa pradeshe tamasaha ishadanurtihi. I think this we have told. I'll just repeat and then proceed. We have already discussed this one point. So, in a alpa pradipe pradeshe, in a place where there is a little light, a dim light or a dull light, where there is a dim light and dull light, there what happens? A little bit of darkness is also continuing. Darkness is also coexisting. Anuvrittihi continuing, but we can say coexisting. Where there is a dim light, there along with the light, the darkness is coexisting. And again he says, here it is, darkness is mixed with light. He gives another example of chayayam atapaha, shadow or a shade, let us say. Shade is darkness, absence of light. But he says, in the shade, there is a mixing of light. How? In the shade, there is a sunshine, warm sunshine. Hot sunshine is present, warm sunshine is present in the shade. So shade is basically darkness, there the sunshine is mixed with it. But light is basically light, the dim light is essentially light, but there is a mixing of darkness. That means little bit of darkness mixed with light, light mixed with darkness. This is what Purvapakshi's examples are. So how do you know that the sunshine is present in the shade? In the shade is only a darkness, but even in darkness there is little light. How do you know? Because warmth and light are interrelated. They go together. Where there is a warmth, there is generally light. Where there is a light, there is warmth. Okay, where there is light, there is warmth. Therefore, he says, Anumanagamya taratamyena upalabhyamana aushnalingyat. Anumanagamyaha taratamyena upalabhyamana aushnalingat. The aushnalinga, the heat is fluctuating. Taratamyena upalabhyamanaha means fluctuating. Gradational will be too technical translation. Let us put in a simple common man's English. Fluctuating heat. That's all. If you take literal translation, many places you won't understand. It becomes too technical. Simple things like pot and water. Why do you make big technical things like H2O and all that? You don't call water into H2O. That's a technical way of telling. Simply say water is water. That's enough. So similarly, taratamyena upalabhyamana aushnalingat, because the heat is fluctuating heat. With the help of and based upon the fluctuating heat, we can infer that heat is present in the shade, because in the shade sometimes You find little warm shade, sometimes it is cool shade. Shade is not always warm, always cool. Sometimes it is cool, sometimes it is warm and slightly fluctuating. So from this fluctuation, you understand that there is a little light, a partial light is present in the shade. In the dim light, a partial darkness is present. So together he says, partial darkness is present partially with the dim light, and in the shade, partial light is present with the shade, which is basically darkness. Prakasha abhavasya tamasaha prakashasale darshayitum ashakyatvat. Siddhanti says no. Darkness is simply an absence of light. Why do you make all this big issue? Why do you unnecessarily posit with your logic, create a theory, create a hypothesis? Just to go by your experience. Siddhanta is telling just to go by experience, it is simple. You are putting up with argument trying to build up something. He says, Prakasha abhavasya tamasaha. Darkness is simply as simple as this, an absence of light. So Prakasha stale, where there is light, you can't show the darkness. Because darkness is absence. If there is light, then absence of light can't be present where there is light. Where there is light, absence of light can't be present. Because absence of light is darkness. Nanu, now the Purapakshi says, Nanu upachaya apachaya dyavastha bheda vishishtam rupavatya cha upalabhyamanam tamaha katham abhavatam alambeta. Purapakshi says, how do you say the darkness has got two features? One is it has got a quality, another is it has got a action, function. It is functioning as well as possessing a quality. It possesses a quality and it is also active. Darkness is active, means it is functioning, it is moving. It is moving, darkness is moving. What is the quality? He says, upachaya apachaya dyavastha bheda vishishtaha. Darkness is also fluctuating. Darkness is fluctuating. Sometimes there is a thicker darkness, pitch darkness, there is a light darkness. Okay? Darkness is also fluctuating from sometimes to thick darkness, light darkness. Okay? So if it is non-existent, is simply absent, how can it fluctuate like that? The very fluctuation proves that it is something substantial. Darkness, where are we going? Remember, we are discussing illustration, not the Atma. Atma set aside for a while. We are only indulging in we are indulging in the illustration. Because they spend a lot of time in the Sanskrit commentaries, in the Acharyas, they spend a lot of time in trying to prove that darkness is a positive substance. So Swamiji brings all those arguments here. Some of them I could trace, some of them even I could not trace from which book Swamiji has taken. But some of them I could trace. This particular argument I found in Chitsuki. Chitsuki I find this argument. Probably you may find in Vivarana also. Vivarana, if not Vivarana, at least in Tattva Deepana. Okay, so upachaya apachaya dyavastha bheda vishishtam. That means it has got a fluctuating states, one is. Second thing is, if you put a lamp here, the lamp is moving this end of the room. If you are carrying the lamp to the other side, don't you see the darkness walking? If you are carrying a lamp, that lantern, in our younger days we were carrying lantern. With a lantern you walk, you see that the light is walking other way. Your lamp is walking forward, you see the darkness is going backward. So darkness is walking, like your light is walking in your hands. As the light is walking in your hands, darkness is also walking. Darkness is fluctuating. Okay? Darkness is fluctuating and walking. But he is bringing the arguments, then we have to consider them. Otherwise, they are silly arguments. But we have to consider them. Since he brings the arguments, we have to consider them. Second thing is, Rupavattaya cha upalabhyamanatvat. They appear to have a quality. What is that quality? Dark blackness. Is a black. Darkness is black substance. It is, darkness is a black substance. What he says is, darkness is a black substance. Next, na rupi dravyam tamaha katam abhavatam avalambeta. A darkness which has got two things. So one is it has got a color, another thing is it is fluctuating and walking. That means a function. Fluctuating and walking on one hand, and possessing a color is on another hand. Because of two things, it must, because the Nayayikas, this is the language borrowed from the logicians, Nayayikas. Nayayikas say a thing is a dravyam. A substance will have the two things. One is a quality, another is a function. What is a basis for quality and function? That which is a basis for quality and function is a substance, is a dravya. Therefore, they say darkness is a substance, it is a dravya. Okay. Tamaha katham abhavatam avalambeta nacha rupavadravyasya. Now, next you may say, Vedantin may argue like that. See, if not Vedantin, somebody may argue like that. Rupavadravyasya sparshavatva niyamat. If a substance has a color, it will have a touch also. Touch means it is available for touching. You can feel it also. You can feel its touch. If it possesses a color, what possesses a color can be felt by touch. What possesses a color can be felt by touch. Okay. Then if darkness possesses a color, you should be able to feel the touch of it. Feel the touch of it. Therefore, it is wrong. Somebody argued. Purapakshi jumped up with joy. No. He says, you are wrong. Because, just because you cannot feel its touch, it doesn't mean the color is non-existent. The color is there, therefore it is a substance. Even though you cannot touch it. How can you say that? When you cannot touch, how can you say it is a colored substance? It is a substance having a color. Okay? A substance having a color. Darkness is a substance having a color. You may wonder who is arguing. All this is there in Sanskrit books. Chitsuki, I read all these arguments. All this is found in Chitsuki. Probably in Panchapadika Vivarana also. But these arguments, in Tattvadipanam also you find them. So these arguments are found there. Therefore, Swamiji bringing all those arguments and discussing. Rupavadravyasya sparshavatva niyamat tamo narupadravyam bhavitum yuktamiti. He compares with a wind. You see, wind has got a function without having a color. Wind moves. Wind moves without having a color. When wind can move without having a color, darkness can... No, not moving. Wind can have touch, Wind can have touch, means it can be touched. When wind can be felt with touching, the internet got disconnected. So I have to restart. Okay? I have just restarted. I'm just waiting for people to come, those who got disconnected, because the internet got disconnected. Let at least 1 or 2 people come so that I shall continue. Okay? I shall just wait a few seconds. We shall continue. Okay, so Rupidravyasya Sparshavatva Niyamat. Just as wind can be touched, wind can be felt by touch. That means it has got a touch without having a color. Similarly, darkness can have only color without being able to touch. Just as wind can be only touched, air can be only touched, but without having a color. Without having color, it can have only touch. Similarly, darkness can have only color without being touchable. Without being touchable, it can have only color. But wind is touchable without having color. Without color, it is only touchable, wind. Whereas darkness is a colored substance without being touchable. So this is possible when wind can have, but you made a rule. Somebody is replying, Purapakshi is replying to somebody. What did he say? When there is a color, any colored substance should be touchable, available for feeling, available for touching. Any colored substance. Purapakshi replies, you should have a little patience for 2 or 3 talks, because Purapakshi is deviating into illustration and we have to go. The second chapter is full of this kind of arguments. Only third chapter directly discusses Vedanta and discusses Anubhava. Here, far removed from Anubhava, they go more by argumentation. Removed from Anubhava. That's why the second chapter is full of all Mulavidyavadins arguments Swamiji has exhausted. All their arguments in all the Sanskrit books, around 10 Sanskrit books, he exhausted all their arguments. Minutely he observed them, culled all those arguments and put in second chapter. All the Mulavidyavadins arguments, he put them in one place. Some of them I could trace, some of them still I am unable to trace, but you can see them, they are all from these few books, around 9-10 books of Mulavidyavadim. Their arguments, he compiled them patiently. Without distorting, he puts all these arguments he uses here and replies. Anyway, somebody told, a colored substance must be touchable also. Since darkness is not touchable, means it is not available for touching, you cannot claim darkness to have a color. This is what somebody objected, some objection. Purapakshi replies to this objection, saying that you can't combine color and touchability and expect that they must necessarily go together. Not necessary. They must necessarily go together. Wherever there is color, there should be touchable. Wherever touchability, there color must be there. This condition you can't make. You can't make this condition because in Vayu, in wind, regarding wind is a touchable without having a color. Similarly, darkness has a color without being touchable. So this touchability and color can be separated. One substance can have only touchability without color. Similarly, just when one substance like wind has got only touchability without color, similarly darkness has got only color without touchability. What is wrong? Therefore, it has got color, therefore it is a substance, therefore it is a positive entity. Darkness is a positive entity, opposite to light, not simply absence of light. This is what is argument. I've got habit of repeating because all kinds of students are there and arguments are also a little complicated. So on repetition they become clear. Okay, this is the argument Purapakshi made. To this Siddhanti replies, Na. Nahi drishte anupapattihi. Rupadravyam bhaktamiti. Ruparahitasya vayo sparsho yatha abhyapagamyate tata sparshahinasya tamaso rupavatvam kim nasyat nahi drishte apyanupapattihi. He says, that's how we see. Purapakshi says that we see darkness colored substance. Darkness is a colored substance without being touchable, and wind is a touchable substance without having a color. So this is how we experience them. This is how we perceive them in our life, these two. So why go against, why reject this experience? Why deny this experience? This is how you say. Apicha savitrukarnavyapte deshe. One more thing, Purvapakshi continues. Purvapakshi still continues his second argument. First argument he has already stated. It is not abhava, it is bhavarupa, it is something positive. Second argument, apicha savitrukirana vyapte deshe yada deepa prakasha janma vinashau syatam. I think this have I stated? Anyway, even if I have stated, I'll repeat this again. I don't remember where, because if there is a gap, I don't know up to what point I have read them. Because all this book I have read number of times, so therefore I don't remember which I have discussed, which I have not. Anyway, probably this is a repetition. I don't remember anyway. So he gives an example. If you simply say absence of light is darkness, this doesn't work. If you put out the light and darkness follows, you mean that is darkness? Putting out the light is darkness? You say yes, putting out the light is darkness. No. Purvapakshi says no. Purvapakshi gives an example. Purvapakshi gives a situation where on putting out the light, you can't show the darkness. You think that by putting out light you get the darkness? You can't get the darkness. See, it's an interesting it is. See, you put out the light and darkness follows. Purvapakshi says, I show you the situation. You put out the light and there is no darkness. You say the absence of light? Yes, here is an absence of light, but it is not darkness. Oh my God, how can you show that? Purvapakshi says, I'll show you. I'll show you how. Broad daylight. Sun is brightly shining. Okay? Sun is brightly shining, it is a broad daylight. In that thing you bring one lamp, small lamp. What is that? Wax lamp. Candle lamp. Candle they generally call candle. Candle is glowing candle. You put out. You put out. What happens? Light is gone. Do you feel the darkness there? See Purvapakshi's argument. See, in the broad daylight there is a bright sunlight. You bring a candle. You say absence of light. Yes, here is a light. Yes, this is a candle light. You put out the candle light. Yes, you put out. After putting out, what do you find? Absence of light. Is it darkness? He is asking you, Siddhanti. Vedantins is asking you. You say it is absence of light is darkness? Show me. Is this darkness? Candle is here. It is glowing. I put out. I blow it out. When I blow it out, what happens? What follows? Absence of light, because light is gone. Is there darkness? Show me. No darkness, because in the bright sunlight, in the daylight, how can you show the darkness there? Therefore, you see how cleverly brings a situation Purvapakshi. Then Purvapakshi says, absence of light is not darkness. Darkness is some positive substance in addition to absence of light. In addition to absence of light, or something apart from absence of light, it is something, a positive substance, dark black substance. Okay? You may wonder what is he talking, but this is how some people, some philosophers talk like that, and we can't ignore them, we have to listen to their arguments and reply. Swamiji has a lot of patience, you see. He culled all these arguments. I think even Mulavidya Vadins do not know where all these arguments occur in all various books. Swamiji read all those Sanskrit books, compiled all those arguments in one place and discussing here. Even for Mulavidyavadins, all their arguments you will find in one place in Swamiji's book only. They should make use of Swamiji's book. All their arguments they find in one place here. Of course, Swamiji refutes them, that is different. But their arguments you find in one place. Even they won't find it. They won't find all their arguments in one place. Tada deepa prakashasya abhaveshu pragabhava pradvamsabhava itaretara abharupeshu na vidyate tamasta vyavaharaha. Now when the candle light is put out, you blow out, gone. What is there? There is an absence of candle light. Is it darkness? No. It is a bright sunlight is there. How do you say it's a darkness? Atasyat. Then Siddhanti told. Then he himself imagines. Oh, Purapakshi imagines Siddhanti's reply. Siddhanti is not replying. Siddhanti is sitting quiet. He is silent. He is sitting silent. Purapakshi himself imagines Siddhanti. Oh, you mean putting out a candle light is not enough for the darkness? Absence of light doesn't mean only candle light. All light should go away. Sakala prakasha bhavaha. You may mean absence of all light. You mean? Siddhanti might mean like that. Absence of all light. If candle light is one, and then sunlight is another. If candle light is put out, there is an absence of candle light, it doesn't constitute darkness because there is a sunlight. When the absence of candle light doesn't constitute darkness, though it is an absence of light. So you may say, Vedantin may say that, but there is a sunlight also. When there is a sunlight, how can you say it is darkness? No darkness possible. Then Siddhanti might say, absence of all light is darkness. Absence of all light in the world. Absence of all light in the world, any light in the world. Then Purapakshi replies, if you mean that, tarhi sarva prakasha sannidhanam vina tamo na kadachit nivarteta. If all light in the world, absence of all light in the world is darkness, then to remove the darkness, you have to bring all the light in the world, you have to bring it. Is it possible to bring all the lamps, all the lights in the world, all the lights in America, all the lights in Europe, all the lights in Asia, all the lights in Japan, all the sunlight, moonlight, starlight, all the lights you have to bring, then only darkness will go. Is this, does this ever happen? Will this happen? Therefore, darkness doesn't mean absence of all light. Darkness is a positive substance. Purapakshi has his own argument. All these arguments they have stated in Sanskrit books. Okay? Sometimes they also go to any extent in arguing. Na chaitadasti tasman na prakasha bhava eva tamaha na yuktamityutpashyamaha. Therefore we say this is logical. This is very reasonable. We are talking reasonably and logically. Absence of light is not darkness. Whether it is absence of specific light or absence of all light. Absence of a specific lamp or absence of all lamps. None of them can be called darkness. Darkness is something, a positive substance apart from light. All this is for what? To prove the darkness, a positive substance, so that it can coexist with light. And this constitutes an illustration to prove that ignorance can coexist with knowledge in a Jivan Mukta. Oh my God, what is the purpose and what is it trying to do? His purpose is to prove that ignorance can coexist with Jnani along with his knowledge. For that he can prove that by inference. For inference you need a worldly illustration. With the help of worldly illustration you infer the ignorance presence of ignorance in a jnani, he wants to prove to, see, presence of jnanam, ajnanam, he tries to prove through anumana pramana. This is also ridiculous. Presence of ignorance or knowledge in your own anubhava is a self-evident to every person. It can't be proven by anumana through others. Okay? It can't be proven through inference through others. And he says, you show an example event where darkness can coexist with light. Therefore, similarly, it can exist. So, darkness and light is one illustration, worldly event. By proving this worldly event, he thinks that the presence of ignorance in jnani can be proven. But it is unrelated, but he thinks that it can be proven. But anyway, what is the Siddhanti's reply? Purupakshi gave the two arguments. Now the Siddhanti's reply. He says, Tad anubhava apalapinam vachanam. What you are talking is, you are talking against experience. You are giving a lot of argument, illustration, events, so many. But they are all far removed from anubhava. You are denying the very anubhava. You are rejecting the very anubhava. Therefore, it doesn't work. Okay? Prakasha, what I meant is, we did not mean, when Purupakshi told when candle light is blown out, that absence of light darkness? Purupakshi asked. Then he himself imagined Siddhanti's answer, absence of all light in the world. Siddhanti says, I didn't mean absence of all light in the world, all lamps in the world. We meant it light in general, absence of light in general. Siddhanti gives his own view here. Prakasha samanya abhavaha. Absence of any light in any degree is called darkness. Absence of light in general, not a specific light, a specific amount of light. We didn't mean not a specific light, not a specific amount of light. Not a specific light, not specific amount of light. I don't know, my English is good, my English works, I'm only just managing. Do you call it amount for light? I don't know. Degree or amount? I don't know, whatever you call. You understand the idea, it's good, it's enough. Anyway, I'm not going to be an Englishman, but I'm an English speaker. Prakasha samanyasya abhavaha tamaha ityuktam asmabhi. Or somebody told there are many Englishes, so they can accept. My English also they can accept. There are many Englishes in the world. English is divided into many branches. American English, Australian English, European English, Middle East English, and in Southeast, what you call Asian English, and among that in Indian English. Even in India, we have got 10 Englishes. Oh, North Indian English, South Indian English, even in North Indian, Bengali English and other English. Even in South India, we have got many Englishes. I tell you, all over the world, there are many, many Englishes. So mine is one of them. Okay. Not only in accent, in the vocabulary, in grammar, in vocabulary, and in accent. In all the three, there are many Englishes. But it's going on, it is working. It is working with all, so many Englishes. English is running as a world language, international language. I think after another half decade or one day, after a decade or half century, you don't know whether one English people be able to understand another English, or they may have to keep a translator. One English speaker cannot be understood by another English speaker. The English is becoming many Englishes. So you have to keep a translator. We don't know. My talks will become difficult after a few decades, 2 to 3 decades. We need a translator to translate my English. Anyway, whatever happens, they will look after it. Is their problem. We'll proceed with our topic. So, Prakasha Samanyasya Abhavaha. We mean light in general, absence of light in general, not any specific light, specific lamp or a specific degree, specific amount of light. We mean light in general. Light, he says, light in any degree, light in any amount is absent, that is called darkness. That's all. Light in any amount of any type. Light in general, when there is no light, you call darkness. Take it as a simple definition. Yatra yatra kutrachid yasya kasyachidapi prakasasya sannidhane sati tatra tamaso anupalabhyamanatvat. Wherever there is yatra kutrachit, wherever yasya kasyachidapi, wherever there is a whatever degree of light, whatever amount of light is present in a given place, that place you can't show the darkness. Wherever, in some place, wherever, whatever degree of light you find, there you can't show darkness. That means darkness is only an absence of light. Sati tatra tamaso anupalabhyamanatat kena sarkena siddhyet bhavatvam tamasaha. By what logic, by what reason you can prove, you can establish that the darkness is a positive substance. Okay? Tadevam manda prakashanuvrittir yatrasti tatraiva tamo anuvrittihi. This is very good sentence. Even if there is a little light in a place, even if there is a little light, a dim light, even if there is a little light in a place, tatra means exactly at the spot where there is a small light. Even if there is a small light in a given place, okay, where there is a small light in exact place, exact spot where there is a small lamp, a small flame. It may be a small flame, but where there is a small flame, you can't show darkness in the flame. It may be a small flame, a spark. In the spark, exactly in the spark which is shining, there you can't show the darkness. Okay? A small lamp or a spark of light. There, the smallest lamp or a smallest spark, where there is a little spark, there you can't show the darkness. See how Swamiji is arguing. Manda prakasha anuvrittir yatrasti tatra tamaso anuvrittihi. There, darkness coexisting cannot be seen. Nobody can perceive the darkness coexisting with a light, with a spark of light, however small it is. But the spark, in the spark itself, where the spark is on the spark itself, you can't show the darkness even with your cleaned eyes. Cleaned, prakshalita ikshanairapi. If the eye has got some dust particles or eyes are unable to see, you clean with a distilled water or with a Ganga Jalam. You clean your eyes with Ganga Jalam and go and see, still you won't be able to see the darkness. Swamiji, in a figuratively, poetic way, he is describing. Sometimes he goes into the poetic way. Swamiji is capable of writing in a poetic way, but generally he has not written any poetic work, but is capable. From this you can see. See, prakshalita ikshanairapi. With the eyes which are washed clean with distilled water. Even with such an eyes washed with distilled water also, you cannot see the darkness in the spark of light. Okay? Therefore, it means, when you cannot show coexistence of darkness, shakyate saksha, no, you cannot see the very darkness itself, then where is the question of they coexisting? Okay. I think I'm tired. Yeah, we'll stop with it. So anyway, the conclusion, sentence also concludes, then argument shifts, then another argument. Sahavasthana Sankata. Then Purvapakshi raises another argument. Okay? Purvapakshi's another argument is more complicated because these are all Shushka Tarka, dry logic. Dry logic means against experience, therefore they look like meaningless. They look like boring to understand, difficult to understand, and boring also because they are far removed from facts. Yet we have to listen to them and patiently reply to their arguments, show how their arguments are meaningless. Okay, we have to show them. Next argument is a little more complicated, though Swamiji uses in one or two sentences only, but these two sentences require so much of explanation because go round and round and round. So these two sentences require 10 to 15 minutes of explanation. I think we'll see in the next class. Hereafter, I hope that I will not skip. But one side my health is better, but another side problem. Because basic weakness is there, all other new problems keep arising. Anyway, I'm trying to control. So we met doctor. They gave some tablets, but I have not started using them because the tablets have not come. Doctors have tested and then prescribed. Tablets have not yet come. They take time. So until then we'll manage somehow. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.